All right, so The Hill recently published an article that I thought was extremely interesting, which is why I want to talk about it. So they say one half of young Americans in new poll say democracy in US is in trouble or has failed. This is absolutely outstanding. So the article goes as follows. A national poll of people ages 18 to 19 found that most young Americans said that they believe the country's democracy is either in trouble or has failed. Specifically, 52% of respondents said they held these beliefs, including 39% who said that the U.S. is a democracy in trouble and 13% who said that the country is a failed democracy. The poll from the Institute of Politics at Harvard Kennedy School released on Wednesday found 27% of respondents said they viewed the country as somewhat functioning democracy, and just 7% said that the U.S. is a healthy democracy. When considering the angry or when considering the results along party lines, more Republicans view the state of democracy in the country as in trouble or failed than did Democrats or unaffiliated young people, the survey found. A total of 70% of Republicans said that they held this view, including 47% who said that the U.S. democracy is in trouble and 23% who said that it had failed. Among Democrats, 45% said that the country's democracy is in trouble or has failed, and 51% of independent and unaffiliated young people had the same responses. In terms of President Biden's approval rating, among young people, 46% of young Americans who took the part in the survey said that they viewed him favorably, making a 13-point drop since a poll published in April from the same organization. 40% said that they viewed him unfavorably in the new survey. So this is incredibly interesting. And before I really get into this, I just want to state, so they said that in that poll, there was more Republicans that said that democracy was in trouble than Democrats. I'm just going to go ahead and say that's most likely just because the Democratic president is in power right now. If a Republican president was in power, like Donald Trump, for example, it would be flip-flopped, and more Democrats would say that democracy is in peril, and more Republicans would say that it's not in peril, and that just speaks to the current polarization and division that's going on. But I want to talk about this because it just shows you that people know that something is wrong, and they know that something is wrong with the system, and they know that the system isn't doing what our politicians so often tell us that it does. You see, our system is bought and owned by corporations and the rich. And whether or not the people actually get it and understand to what length that it is bought and owned, they know, at least to some extent, that things aren't going right. Like something's off. And so they express it in different sorts of ways. Some of those ways are correct. Some of those ways, or many of them, are incorrect. But they know that things aren't as they should be. And it's represented in polls like this, where half of young people, and I like that it's specifically young people, because young people are more keen, I feel as though, to these sorts of issues like corruption and what have you, and a little bit more unwilling to accept their current reality, where the older generation are like, well, this is typically the way things go. And young people are a little bit more rebellious in that aspect, and they're like, no, we need a change. And they're starting to come around, and the most stark example was his Build Back Better agenda. You know, it came out as this $3.5 trillion package of decent things and just got torn to shreds by a couple of senators and representatives in the House that are taking loads of cash from whether it be Big Pharma, the health insurance industries, the fossil fuel industry. I mean, and we saw what happened. The bill got decimated. It got axed until it was nothing left but a bunch of compromises. And Americans witnessed that before their very eyes. And that just further bolstered the fact, at least in their minds, that the system is corrupt. And our politicians are bought and owned, and they're not catering to us. They're not catering to us. They're not doing the things that they said they were going to go there and do. And as a result, people are angry, and you're seeing it in these polls. But look, man, people are wising up. They're starting to understand that democracy is, in fact, not what they say that it is here in this country. When you have these huge companies and you have one person or a small collection of people sitting at the top, and they get to tell people, the thousands below them, what to do, what to produce, where to produce it, what to do with the profits, what they get paid, whether or not they can make a living wage. I mean, it's insane. That right there is the true definition of a lack of democracy, specifically democracy in the workplace. But the workplace is where you spend most of your life, isn't it? 40 hours, many a lot more a week, 8 hours a day. Maybe it's time for a restructuring of society.